How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to Windy City Digits. Thanks for tuning in. We do appreciate everyone that's been tuning into the channel. Talk about Chicago sports here. If you haven't had a chance yet, we'd appreciate you hitting the subscribe button. It does help us out a lot, and the like button also helps. And also watch us to the end because we got a lot to talk about today. Today is Sunday, March 13th. Spring training opens today, which we'll get to in a little bit. Bears free agency talk, but we're going to start with the Bulls. So how's it going, Vic?
Sunday morning.
Sunday morning. It's a good Sunday morning because we're talking all these Chicago sports today. You know, Bulls, Bears, Cubs, Sox. So it's a good time.
As soon as Major League Baseball agreed to a contract,
yeah,
boy, was it exciting.
Yeah. So we'll get to the baseball talk in a minute, but we're going to start with the Bulls. So Alex Caruso returned last night to action to the Bulls. Looking at his stat line last night for the game. Let me just pull it up here real quick. Pretty good return. We're talking about 11 points total, plus 9 on the floor, 4 assists, 4 steals. And I think that's the big number, right? The steals and his influence on the defensive side is the big thing.
Absolutely. So, I mean, everybody on Twitter, and I was at my kids' a cappella concert last night, and I was sneaking peeks at the game. But everybody was talking about the Crusoe effect and what he brings to the table. And honestly, even some of the little clips, it looked like there was better ball movement already with him in there. I might be hallucinating, but it kind of looked like their defense. This was their only game that they kept someone under 100 points since the last time Caruso played.
Correct.
Which is kind of strange, man. I mean, what is the Crusoe effect? Is it real?
Yeah, I think it's real. I think it's more defensive. But again, you know, we've talked about this many times on the channel, right? Zach didn't play last night. And
that's true.
We talk about, and I've been on this for the last 3-4 games, right? Where it seems like when Zach's in the game, the ball doesn't move as well when he's. So I don't know if this is the Zach effect or if this is the AC.
You've been on this for 2 years, man. Maybe 3. Okay.
You know, with the AC effect, but I do think he does bring a different energy. It seemed like the guys had a little more jump in their step last night. So I think that AC effect is real. I think it's going to get an even bigger bump when Lonzo comes back in a couple weeks, and it sounds like he's on track.
I agree.
And then P. Will looks like he's on track. Hopefully, it sounds like maybe toward the end of this week. And we're on a tough West Coast road trip now. Like, I think Monday night we play in Sacramento on Monday night, and then Wednesday I think we're in Utah. And the other factor is
and then Phoenix.
And then Phoenix, right? But I think the other thing, I don't know what's your level of concern on this? Is Zach's knee? Like, how concerned are you with this?
But if there's a level of concern. Obviously, he's a good scorer. It does appear that when he is out, we've been able to do pretty well. I mean, that's when DeMar and the Bulls
had that 5-game winning
9
streak.
Or 11. No, it was even longer. The other one,
yeah,
the one when we hit the buzzer beat, the 2 buzzer beats.
Yeah, I think it was like a 9-game. I think that was like a 9-game winning streak. I think.
Yeah, 9 or 11 for some reason, and maybe 11 just rings a bell because it's his uniform number.
Yeah,
digits.
But and the good thing we also gained a game on Miami and we gained a game on Milwaukee, so we're only a half game behind Milwaukee right now.
Thanks Timberwolves.
Yes, thanks to the Timberwolves. I was kind of keeping an eye on that game also. Miami had the lead for most of 3 quarters. And the funny thing is, like, the Timberwolves lost the night before to the Magic.
Yeah, I know. And then Clay lit it up against the Bucks. So thank you, Clay Thompson, for that. But yeah, it's looking up for the Bulls after a really tough stretch without a lot of players. So it's going to be exciting.
Yeah, and I think AC looked good considering his first game back. And I think the other thing is that it looks like his shot really wasn't affected. Like it wasn't.
Yeah. Correct.
He was pretty selective in his shots, but I mean, he was 50%, 4 for 8 from the field, 1 for 2 from 3. So, you would have, since it was a wrist injury, I think that would have been the first concern. So anyway, we'd love to hear your guys' thoughts on the Bulls game last night. Leave it in the comments below. What do you think about AC's return, the ball movement, Zach's injury, anything you think about the Bulls currently in the game last night? We'd love to hear your comments below. But we're going to go ahead and move on to Bears. Bears made a lot of news this week. We didn't get a chance to talk about this yet. Yeah, Bears.
What's up, Bears?
They made a ton of moves this week, and maybe the first thing we should talk about is the Khalil Mack trade to the Chargers. So what are your thoughts on that?
Well, I think the Bears need to position themselves to get younger. I like the fact that polls came out, a week ago. Everything's moving so fast, but he was talking about we need to get faster and younger. And I think we've heard that from other GMs in our city before. I think we've even heard that from the Bulls GM, and then they got Dwayne Wade or Rajon Rondo.
Right.
It's good to see that a GM comes in with a plan. I mean, that's what I like.
Yeah.
Did they get the best, draft picks that they could? I don't know, but I guess in comparison to someone else recently, it's decent. So they got 2 draft picks, one this year
and one next year.
Second rounder and a third rounder for next year.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I think it shows that Ryan Poles has a plan. And I don't know if we talked about this week. One thing about Bears fans, us being 2 of them, right? Like we get our favorite players and we want them to stay forever, right?
God, didn't we love him? We were at the bar.
Yeah.
Playing against the Packers.
Yeah, that first game.
This guy's a stud.
Yeah. We love our players. We have our favorite players, and we want to see them stay, right? But look, the reality is Khalil Mack is getting a little bit older. He hasn't played much in the last 2 years. We are switching from a 3-4 to a 4-3. Where would he fit in? Would he be a down lineman, edge rusher? Would he be a linebacker? Probably a little step slow to be playing linebacker for what we want to do. Probably not really realistically an every down defensive end. So I think it was the right move. But if you think about just the players we let go this week, we traded Khalil Mack. We cut Tariq Cohen. We cut Danny Trevathan. We cut Eddie Goldman. Those 4 guys were and Allen Robinson's probably out the door. So there's a lot of
most likely
transition here. But, I get why some Bears fans were upset, but I think it was the right thing to do. It shows that he does have a plan as far as going forward.
Yeah. And I think they're upset because they were hoping not for a complete overhaul, but, a lot of those guys weren't even playing. I mean, Cohen wasn't playing. Eddie Goldman was, I don't know what he was doing.
Yeah, he was. Well, the first 2 years ago, he refused to play because he refused to get vaccinated. Like he didn't want to go through the COVID protocols. Like he opted out for the year because he was concerned about catching COVID. And then last year he was kind of in and out of the lineup because injury or whatever. So I don't know how much that year off played into it, but he didn't play much. Khalil Mack didn't play much last year. Tariq Cohen can't even pass a physical to get onto the field.
So we've got some good things to look forward to. Like one, you and I, we tried to do a little show about this before, but like the free agency versus draft picks. We've got 2 second rounders, a 39, a 48th. That's from the Chargers. We've got a 3rd round, number 71, 5th round, 147, 149, and a 6th round, 184. So we've got 6 draft picks coming up. And what do you think in terms of free agency? Do we stay pat and look to see what we do in the draft, or do we pick up some free agents now?
I think the free agents we pick up this year, honestly, is going to be selected because I saw a number the other day, and I don't know if you saw this. Because of the Khalil Mack trade, there's some dead money this year. But next year, we're like $124 million under the cap for next year, which tells me that that's part of the plan. There's some big name free agent that we're going to target. We know is going to be a free agent next year that polls seems to be targeting. So if we do get someone this year, it might just be, a fill-in, maybe like a 2-year contract somewhere there, maybe a 3-year, but nothing major. But I think if we try to get anyone and we spend any money, it's going to be on the O-line.
Yeah, that's what it's looking like now. Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I think we're going to try to get that help.
There's rumors about Schuster. I think it's Schuster. Grabbing Schuster or Katie Chark off of free agency. Yeah. I've heard some rumors about that, but we've heard rumors about them even going for Amari Cooper. I think it's just chat.
Well, Amari Cooper got traded yesterday. He got traded to Cleveland yesterday, so that's out of play, right? But the weird thing about this draft is that it's such a weak quarterback class that now everyone is going to be looking for free agent quarterbacks, and now they're going to be grabbing all the other positions toward the front of the draft. So in a normal year where there would have been maybe 2, 3, maybe 4 quarterbacks taken in the first round, there may be 1, maybe if even that, maybe 2, which means that teams will be looking elsewhere. And if you think about it, a lot of teams are kind of set at quarterback. There aren't that many. Like the 2 that I can think off my head would be Jacksonville, maybe the Giants that aren't set. Seattle now that they've traded Russell Wilson. So
what about Houston?
Houston, if they trade Deshaun Watson or Deshaun Watson decides to leave for, I think it's Jacksonville.
I would think he would want to.
Yeah, you would think. But anyway, so, we had this conversation, and I'll say it again. As far as the draft, second round, I think it's great. We got another pick. But I think it's going to be a skilled position at number 2, specifically a wide receiver with our first round pick.
So in a mock draft that I pulled up from Pro Football Daily, they have Treylon Burks from Arkansas going to the Bears. There's also a receiver from Western Michigan, Sky Moore. I know we both talked about having Olave available, but it appears that in most mock drafts he's in the upper 20s. If he was free, would you grab him?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Do you know much about Treylon Burks?
In a heartbeat. I think we go for Olave. If he's there, what'd you say, it was 38? That's our pick?
39.
If he's there at 39, for sure we get Olave. I think that's kind of a no-brainer. But again, with the way this draft is going to go, it could be crazy because you might see crazy trades because people know they're not going to get what they need. Like, you might see people trade out of the first round because they're like, you know what, we could get the same pick in the second round and save ourselves some money. Or we might be able to get the guy we want in the third round, trade up, let someone trade up the second round. So it wouldn't surprise me if Ryan Poles tries to trade the number 2 picks for a first round. I don't know if that's the right way to go, but it wouldn't surprise me if someone's offering it.
I don't think he's going to do.
If he could turn around and get these picks that we just got from Mack, the second and third round, he can turn that in the first round pick. Yeah, for sure. I think you got to do that.
I don't think they're going to do that though.
But that's what I mean. My point is that this draft is going to be crazy. It wouldn't surprise me if you start seeing teams make these crazy moves to trade down and not necessarily trade up.
I agree. I think they need more draft picks. I think the Bears need more draft picks than they need someone to try and guess at a number 1.
Yeah, because Ryan Pace kind of left us in a bad spot.
Yeah. So let's move on to MLB.
Yeah. So before we do that, we'd love to hear your comments down below on the Bears. Your comments down below. What do you think about the Bears free agency? Yeah. As far as who you might be able to pick up. What do you guys think about the recent moves of letting go Khalil Mack, Tree Cohen, Danny Trevathan, and Andy Goldman? You think that's a good thing for the defense? Any things Bears related, feel free to leave those comments below. But today is one of the days that I've been looking forward to. I was glad it's here. And today is the official opening of spring training. My beloved White Sox are going to start their 2022 championship run today.
Yeah, so did you like it? Did you like any of their free agent pickups? They got Joe Kelly.
Yeah.
Well, and they released. Well, they let Carlos Rodon go.
They let him go.
That's Yeah, that's quite a loss, though. I was looking at the stats. I'm not a White Sox fan, but he had one of the best ERAs for your starting pitching staff, man.
Yeah, he was dominant as a left-hander last year. That was the most innings he'd ever pitched in a season. And good for Carlos. Like he earned that money, he earned that opportunity. While and we talked about this during the week. While I hate seeing a left-hander like Carlos go of that kind of quality, we have Kopech waiting in the wings, and he's going to take that spot. So I think that just proves that, again, one of the GMs in town has a plan. Like Rick Hahn has a plan. I know there was some talk out there on Twitter today that they were a little upset that we didn't at least make a qualifying offer to try to match Rodon and to get him to stay.
Yeah.
And I know there was some conversation. I think we would have gotten some compensation, like had he ended up choosing to go to the Giants anyway, we would have gotten some draft picks out of it. But I don't think it was worth the time and effort. Honestly, like they knew what they were going to be willing to pay Carlos, and he got big money to go there for 2 years. And it's a weird contract that he signed because it's like 2 years, but he can opt out, or one of the teams can opt out after 1 year.
After a year.
Yeah.
Joe Kelly.
Uh-huh.
The White Sox relief pitching is outstanding.
Yeah, I don't know what we're gonna do with Kimbrel. I honestly don't know. Like,
holy man, they act like they're keeping him. La Russa sounds like he's keeping him. Maybe they're gonna use some of those guys more as middle relief. That's like almost 35-40 million tied up on two relievers. I don't know, man. That's an awesome stat.
Liam Hendricks was reliever of the year in the American League.
Yeah.
The only thing I didn't see, I don't know, did you see anything? Like, I know Tepera is a free agent. Did you see any movement on him if Tepera was going to sign somewhere?
No.
So
not at all.
There's a possibility Tepera might come back too.
There were some John Heyman tweets today about some people getting picked up, but
it's going to be crazy for the next week. Like we talked about this because they're opening.
It already has been,
3-4 weeks, and it's just going to be a sprint. And teams have gaps they got to fill. Like we need a second base. The Sox still need a second baseman.
Okay, so they picked up Josh Richardson. He's a 2-time All-Star.
We picked him up
for the
Oakland
Oakland A's. Yeah, you picked up Joe Kelly and Josh Richardson.
That one.
It was last night.
Hey, listen, if we picked him up, and that fills our second base issue, I'm all for it. But that also kind of tells me that
Harrison,
we might have one more big free agent signing, maybe someone in right field, because we have capable players in right. Engel could play right field. We have some possibilities, but no one that could be a full-time, everyday right fielder. And I know there was talk earlier about possibly Chris Bryant and stuff like that, but
yeah, it doesn't look like it from the Sox. Harrison's 34 years old. He batted .279 with 8 home runs, 9 stolen bases, and 138 games for the A's Nationals last year. 2-time All-Star. Not bad. Joe Kelly, 33. He's got some electric stuff, but he also is wild sometimes. 2.86 ERA with 50 strikeouts. He's intimidating, man. You got an intimidating crew. I looked up your White Sox stats, and I was kind of looking at – they're very comparable to what the Cubs look like, man. And maybe I'm wrong, but are the White Sox like home run or bust? Because a lot of their hitters are high strikeout hitters too.
That's a great question. I think that we have so many young guys. Like Robert didn't really hit his full stride last year because of his injury. He's a 5-tool guy. He can hit for power, but I think he's going to be he's not going to strike out as much this year. He's going to have a pretty good average. The one guy I think that is going to strike out a lot is going to be Jose Abreu. He's getting up in age.
Yep.
He's a power hitter. He's the one guy I think that's going to strike out more. I think we're going to end up. Reality is we're going to end up being like station to station, type team. But every single guy up and down that lineup has the ability to hit for power. So
no, yeah,
like
they're exciting
literally
team,
like
man.
1 through 7, maybe even 1 through 8. Would be power hitters. I don't know right off the top of my head what Harrison's power numbers are like, but normally you don't look to second baseman as power hitters.
Correct.
But
not at all.
The other 3 guys in the infield can all hit the ball, and Tim Anderson has led the league and been pretty much in the top 5 as far as average over the last 2-3 years. He won the batting title once. So he's going to be the table setter. LaRussa's got a lot of options to play with in the lineup. It'll just be interesting to see what our bench is this year. So what about on the north side?
All right. So north side, actually the Cubs have done a couple of nice things earlier in the free agent period, like where they picked up Marcus Stroman. I think that was an awesome pickup. Yan Gomez, they've got a decent backup catcher to Contreras. They did pick up Andrelton Simmons from Minnesota, shortstop, which was okay, but I think a lot of people were hoping for Korea.
Yeah.
So
and he hasn't
Korea's
signed
still
yet.
out there.
He's still out there.
He is still out there. The Cubs don't have a good. I mean, Madrigal, Mickey Horner, they already have a pretty decent infield. I'm not so sure about their first baseman. I don't know if Korea actually would play first base.
I don't think
you would have to move. You'd probably have to move somebody else over there if you were to get Korea. Korea is someone that I'm not so sure I would go for right now for the Cubs. I think that's something like to look at for another player, a high impact player in another year to see how these other players are that we got from trading at last year, like Schwindel. Schwindel was like amazing last year for the Cubs. First baseman hit like 342, a bunch of home runs. We had a rookie, Pat Wisdom, who hit 28 home runs, was in line for Rookie of the Year. We still have a decent potential outfield, but I would prefer us to go after an outfielder. I mean, we got Jason Hayward. God, it's like
he's like
these long contracts that God, I hate these long contracts, man.
He's got like one of those Bobby Bonilla, like
yes, or Alfonso Soriano was a guy that we were like hoping to get rid of for years.
Yeah,
the Cubs don't have a lot of depth. So I mean, any high impact player they get would be beneficial. I mean, some of these guys, Ian Happ, that they've had in the outfield, he can hit for power, but his batting average is like 239. He strikes out a ton. I mean, Hayward, the outfield is not – they're okay. So if I were the Cubs, I'd be looking more for an outfielder. So and their pitching staff's pretty decent. Compared to last year, they actually have a good pitching staff.
Well, and I saw that.
I guess we'll see.
I'm looking at your roster right here, right? I mean, Hendricks looks like will be a starter. Alec Mills will be one of your starters. Stroman will be a starter. Looks like those 3. And I saw something where Corey Hoyer is going for Tommy John surgery. So he's a guy you lose out of your bullpen.
Yeah, well, we just picked up the old man, Jesse Chavez, this morning as a free agent, I think basically to replace him.
Okay.
But we did also pick up, I can't see it on my screen, I think his name is Miley from
Wade Miley?
Cincinnati. Yeah, Wade Miley. So I think our starting pitching is actually going to be pretty decent. It's our relief pitching that's going to be a struggle, and some strikeouts. We have a lot of guys with high strikeouts still.
Yes,
and that's what we're trying to get rid of from the Cubs. So I don't know. We'll see.
Well,
we'll see what happens.
Look, the good thing is we're talking about baseball. Right. I mean, we've got some baseball to look forward to. It'll just see. And, it's always every year there's some freak injury. Hopefully it doesn't happen to either one of our teams this year. But it'll be some freak injury. So, I mean, realistically, like just, throw out a win total. Like, what do you think as far as a win total this year? for the Cubs?
The Cubs?
Yeah.
70.
Okay. And like, if you feel like you're thinking,
I don't have high optimism, honestly. I mean, unless they pick up like 2 decent free agents that have good bats and maybe a reliever. I don't think there's a lot of relievers out there, quite honestly. Maybe they'll trade for Craig Kimbrell. I doubt it.
yeah.
You could get Nick Madrigal back. We'll pick up Korea. We'll give you Nick Madrigal back. And who was it, Hoyer?
Yeah. Corey Hoyer, who's now got his Tommy John surgery. And
yeah, we'll give you guys those guys back for Kimbrell. No problem.
And Madrigal was coming off like a season-ending injury from last year. So
I know.
Look, Madrigal's a good player. Like I
think
he's a good defensive player, right? But I don't, his bat was still. I think it could be a good leadoff hitter for you guys. But depends on what else you surround him with. As far as the White Sox goes, obviously we have very high hopes, high expectations, but the reality is like our division's still pretty tough. Detroit, I think, is going to be still a formidable challenge. I think Cleveland's always tough for us. Minnesota's always tough for us, but I still think we could win. Series. I still think we could win like 92, maybe 93 games with our pitching staff. It's all a matter of how quickly the hitting comes together. And as every Chicago fan knows, playing home games in the first couple of weeks of April and brutal. Is brutal. And if you happen to get a home game on a sunny day where there's no wind blowing and it's not a wind chill of like 32 degrees, then you got a shot of hitting some balls out of the park. But once it warms up, come like late May, June, July, balls got to be flying out of both parks, and that's when I think we'll make a lot of damage. Hopefully our pitching holds up, but I fully expect us to win the division. I'm expecting us to get past the first round. It totally depends on who we match up against in the championship series if we get that far. But I have very high hopes, expectations. I do think we're a World Series contender. And you said it. Like you look at the pitching lineup.
No, absolutely.
Literally, our starters just need to go 6 innings. We have enough strength in the bullpen. If La Russa wants to set up that way, where you have a reliever for the 7th, you got a reliever for the 8th, and you got a reliever for the 9th.
He certainly does, man.
So if he wants to go that route, that's great to save some arms, because that was the one thing by the end of the year last year, all of our starter pitchers' arms were dead. So hopefully we can go that route. So
I think COVID had a little bit to do with it anyway, but I agree. They're a World Series contender.
So a lot to talk about this week.
This
is a longer episode, normal for us. We appreciate you guys sticking through the episode, but a lot of talk this week. Bulls, Bears, Cubs, Sox. We'd love to hear your comments below on anything. The conversation on Twitter has been going great. If you haven't had a chance yet, follow us on Twitter. Windy City Dig, at Windy City Dig is our handle there on Twitter. Big week coming for the Bulls on a West Coast road trip. So a lot to, hopefully talk about more this week. So we do appreciate everyone tuning in. Again, if you haven't had a chance yet, hit the subscribe button, hit the like. Even if you didn't like the episode, hit the like anyway, and hit the bell when you get notified of future episodes. So, all right, Vic, have a good week.
You too, buddy.
All right. Peace, everybody.